So we're taking the Renault Clio V6 to its normal resting home, which is my son's house. I don't have any fancy recording gear for a car, so my son's actually driving. I'm just doing a video. So I don't know if you caught the first bit of it, but one of the big issues with a Clio V6 is the turning circle, which is absolutely atrocious. If you go into a normal car park, like a busy Asda or something, busy supermarket, you can be in a bit of trouble unless you find a nice big open area. My son's just closed the window because it does get hot in here, even with the AC. It can get really quite warm, so you do open the windows quite a bit. So I don't know how much you can hear of the noise, but that's coming from the engine, which is just behind me. If you feel a little bit of, or if you can see a little bit of jerking, because it always does, it seems to do this with us anyway, just when you first start, until you get used to it again, and you get what feels like kangaroo juice, but I think it's a bit of wind up in the transmission. Anybody that's driven a Lotus Elan, would be very familiar with it, with the old, what were they called, rotor cones, whatever they were called, the rubber metal bushes, donuts. So yeah, so first thing we have to do whenever we take it for a drive is of course fill it full of petrol, because it uses a lot of petrol. I think compared to say a supercar or something, it's probably not that bad, but I think if you work on low 20s, if you go on a distance, it may be a bit more than that. You may sneak into the 30s. I doubt it, but you might do. But swings and roundabouts, it's not that bad. It's not a particularly big fuel tank neither, so it's another reason why you do to visit the petrol station quite a bit. In terms of what's it like to drive inside, my son drags the crap out of it. What's it like to drive? It's pretty nice. It's very noisy, don't get me wrong. You can tell it's not a normal car, but other than that, it's just a really nice car to drive. It's pleasant. The turning circle's an issue, the fuel consumption filling up's an issue. Other than that, you could use this as a daily driver, and before these started to make a bit of money, they were, where I used to stop when I first came to where we live now, the company rented me some accommodation, and the chap used to regularly park outside there in his, I think it was a phase 1 V6 when he went offshore. So we'd park it up, go offshore for 4 weeks, come back and pick the car up, and it would just sit there. And when you used to, it looked nice, but when you looked inside, it looked pretty rough. So yeah, you could use it as a daily driver. The engine is basically from a Laguna. It's a V6 engine from a Laguna. So it's pretty rock solid. It's only it's a 3 litre. Well, in the phase 2 it's a 3 litre, 255 horsepower in the phase 2. In the phase 1 it was only 230, I think it was. So it's not even that high a tune. In terms of revs, the red line is marked on our dash around about 7.2. So it's not that stressed, and especially the way most people drive it, it's not that stressed. In the last video we kind of talked about some of the parts which are expensive on this to replace. They talk about the exhaust, the cats were just horrendously expensive. The wheels on this as well, apparently they're really quite expensive if you curb them. And my son happens to be the world's greatest curber of wheels. If you need your car wheels curbed, then give him a call after. But the tyres are not expensive. They're really not. They're just standard tyres. I think things like the braking systems are things that I don't think there's anything particularly special about those. The other thing that's incredibly cheap as well is insurance. You just wouldn't believe it, but these are incredibly cheap to insure. know, it's difficult to, because where you live in the world will obviously vary a lot. But to give you an idea, I've got a little Renault, and that's costing at the moment around about, I think, the £400 a year to insure, and this thing is around 300, believe it or not. I mean, you know, obviously that's really quite restricted mileage, but even then, I mean, you know, any form of bumping, any form of serious bumping this, and you could well be looking at a write-off. You know, some of the components are either difficult to find or impossible. Good news is that there are a lot of body panels which are taken over from the normal Clios. But I think if you start to damage the subframe and things like this, you're probably in quite a world ahead. You don't see many category write-offs. There used to be. When we first started looking at these, virtually everything that we looked at was some form of a category write-off. But they seem to have disappeared for some reason. I don't know whether they've been more likely broken up in those days, because, you know, some of the parts you see appeared on eBay now, and they are getting really quite expensive. While it's quieting down a bit. But the other thing about driving this is that you do have really good visibility out of it. You would have seen, if you'd seen the other video, you'll see, you know, although it's very low, it does have you know, the normal Clio, if you like, top. So really good visibility, which makes it, you know, really easy to drive. It does give you a lot of confidence as well, especially when you're in, you know, a lot of traffic. The car's warmed up quite well now. We've got the AC running max as we're getting really quite warm. That's made the clutch control a lot easier. The clutch isn't grabbing anymore, so that bouncy bit when that starts off is basically gone now.
I think it's on my side. Turn the windows down.
Okay. So this will be a good test to see how big the fuel tank is, because we were on two bars, which is about a quarter tank, and we'll see how much petrol they put in. We always put the E5 petrol in rather than the E10, because of the, you know, the age of the engine. I think the E5 would be a better fuel. I think if you put E10, you do stand a little chance of pinking. So but we've never experienced that, and I guess we would. It's a nice little Austin Healey just went past there. Yeah. So my son was commenting. Doesn't like to be in the video, so I can't show him. But he's commenting how easy it was to drive. You know, I mean, I've said this before, but if you get the opportunity to buy one of these, if you're fortunate enough, and I was fortunate simply because I was in an accident. Otherwise, I couldn't have bought one. Yeah, you should really think about it. So what's in the glove box? So it's a good sized glove box. So there is a spare set of spark plugs. Now what's not there is a spare spark coil, and you should always have one. I've got a full set, but for some reason they're not in here, unless they're in the kit in the back, because they do go. And obviously you don't want to run the engine with one of those guns, and it's happened to us. We've had one go. Really super easy to replace. I think that's what the 10mm spanner's there for, is to help us do that, but I don't know why there isn't a spare one unless it's been used. So we put 42 litres in to fill up 3/4, so what does that work out? Quick bit of maths. 56 litres, something like that, I think, for a tank, which in old money would be I guess knocking on 12 gallon, something like that. So it's a little bit bigger than what we thought, actually. Obviously we're using a lot more petrol than what we imagined. Crumbs. He wasn't taking prisoners, was he?
Yeah, I could have easily gone.
Yeah, so just going through middle of Aberdeen here. It's speed limit here, I think, is 30. Is it?
Yeah.
I'm just doing about 70. No, he's not. Yeah.
Should I go around the Hardigan or skip it?
I'd go the bypass. It's just so easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lovely day here in Aberdeen. We've been waiting to move the car for a week or so, but it's just been lashing with rain, and you know, because it's got to go straight into a garage, we need the car dry before it goes in. So just down there is the Hardigan roundabout, which before they built this, and this hasn't been built for very long, you had to go through the Hardigan roundabout, and to get through it there was only one way, and that is you get to the roundabout, and as soon as you see a gap you just floor it, and that's it. The decision's made. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen from then on, because if you hesitate to do anything, you're not racing it.
Do you want me to?
No, better not, because he might beat us.
Oh, destroy us. Go far.
Was it?
Yeah, it was an RSD actually.
Yeah, so the Hardigan, yeah, so basically you just went for it. There was accidents, but surprisingly few, because I think everybody was that nervous getting to it. They were all heightened awareness, so it's one of those things that you kind of, you know, because of that it actually made it safer, because it was so unsafe, it made it safer.
I'm just going basically straight ahead here, aren't I?
Fundamentally, yeah. Yeah, you're up to that Golf R, so you can get past. This would be a Golf R, wouldn't it?
No.
In a straight line.
Oh, no chance. Go forward 30 to 60 like 4 seconds.
Is that really? Wow.
Yeah. My Mercedes is
So
4
this
seconds.
one. Where he's going, yeah. Is your mum still following us? Yeah. But she doesn't stop, Edward. He's going to stop. So that's a hydrogen bus. So there's a few of these in Aberdeen. There was quite a few were on the road at one time, and then they all disappeared. And they all disappeared because apparently there was reliability issues. I don't know whether that's true or not, hearsay, but I can believe that. You know, I think they had problems with it. But there's hydrogen buses, and we also have electric buses. So there's been quite a bit of an investment in going green, if you like. It's just a shame they didn't do the same with Nick Bay. Didn't do the same level of investment in a green future in the new Aberdeen South, I think they call it. Going up to my wife's car. She's going to give us a lift.